my brain wants to know, what is it? Where is it coming from? Am I channeling this from spirit? Am I tapping into psychically into the person's energy? And then I just thought, you know what, Sandra, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I know and I feel it that it comes from love, and all that has ever come from any of the information that has been shared with me to share with others has been in the vibration of love. And I have seen the healing that it produces with the people that I share these messages with.
Welcome to Feed Your Wild, an immersive journey to help you remember your own medicine and awaken your intuitive healing gifts. I'm Venessa Rodriguez, and join us for heart-centered, real conversations exploring intuition and spirituality, health and wellness, astrology, herbalism, and nature-based practices that will transform your health and life. Our mission is to inspire, empower you, and help you expand your spiritual and intuitive connection to its fullest expression so that we can build a more beautiful world together. Get ready to feed all parts of your wild self. Hello, welcome back to Feed Your Wild podcast. I'm your host and intuitive nourishment guide, Venessa Rodriguez. Today we have a special interview, and this is part of the mini-series that I have that started last year called Riding the Chariot. Real and raw stories straight from the mouths of intuitive healers and graduates of my 9-month mentorship and practitioner mastermind, the Wildly Intuitive Practitioner Pathway. The Wildly Intuitive Practitioner Pathway program is my 9-month intuitive healing mentorship and mastermind container. This is where we work with our clients to tap into their intuitive gifts and create a transformative intuitive healing practice they love so that they can make deep and divinely guided impact for clients, patients, and the world. And we have a special promo happening for the Wildly Intuitive Practitioner Pathway right now. We are offering something that we've never offered before, which is the option to join us for 3 months instead of the full 9-month commitment. So this is a fraction of the cost and commitment level, and you still get access to everything. You get access to everything right away. I don't drip out content, so you still get everything that you would get in the 9-month option. You just are able to do so with a shorter time and financial commitment. But here's the difference. There is a big perk of joining for the full 9-month access because obviously I want to congratulate and to give everything to those who are giving their all and saying yes to this journey, because that full commitment is like rock star status, right? So if you do choose to join us for the full 9-month access, then you get lifetime access to all of the bonuses. So this is huge because it's well over $2,000 worth of other programs for free for life. And this includes new programs that will be coming out this year as well. So you would still get access to the curriculum and all the components of the actual program, but if you choose to join us for the 3-month option, then you're not going to get access to those bonuses for life. You get them for the 3 months that you are with us. But if you choose to continue your journey after the 3 months, which most of our students do, we'll extend your time the extra 6 months, and then you'll get that lifetime access to all of the bonuses. Between the Akashic Records and intuitive trainings that we do, bi-weekly psychic laser coaching, magical collaboration sessions, and an incredible community of like-hearted healers throughout the 9 months or 3 months if you choose, there's nothing else like it out there. That's why our clients experience profound shifts. 2024, if you haven't felt it or heard it from like every single astrologer out there, is a huge year of change, and not just change, revolution. I know you feel it in your heart, in your belly, in your soul. It may be a personal revolution. It may be participating in the global revolution. It's most likely both. So my question to you is, do you know your role in the revolution? And if you're a healer who has been desiring to go deeper into your intuitive gifts, and not just your intuitive gifts, but to go deeper in your work with a capital W, period, like getting out there and truly affecting the deepest and most transformative kind of change you have the capacity to deliver and to help facilitate for others in their healing journey, then the revolution is in saying yes to your path and calling and being unapologetic about getting out there and doing your thing. And we are here to help you do just that. So if this is resonating for you, I highly recommend you you apply. There's no obligation to actually join after you apply, but I want to make sure that we are a good fit, that this program is a good fit for you, and that you are a good fit for our community, which is why there's an application process. And this is how I keep this container super high caliber and with the most phenomenal people. I'm obsessed with this program if you haven't already been able to tell. So go over to wildlyrooted.com/apply, learn all about the Wildly Intuitive Practitioner Pathway, and send us your application. It takes 2 minutes to fill out, and I would love to connect with you on the other side. Once you apply, then we can hop on the DMs and go back and forth, and I can really share from a place of complete honesty and integrity whether or not I feel that this is a good fit for you. So again, if you're feeling that call, if you're feeling that fire of revolution, then get your quick application in before we're full or prior to January 26th, whichever happens first. And speaking of fire, one last announcement. This Thursday, I'm holding a live full moon in Leo ceremony. It's called Lit, Liberate Inner Truth. Join me for sacred heart work and a fire ceremony to release the blocks preventing you from moving forward into your path of healership. I'll give a transmission on the powerful energies of this full moon, open up the Akashic records, and connect with our guides. You'll walk away more aligned, on purpose, and lit up with the fire of divine grace. If you want to light up the world, hearts on fire with your healing gifts, then join us for our live full moon fire ceremony and heart activation. It'll be on Zoom. Once you sign up, then you'll get the registration link for the Zoom webinar. And yes, there's going to be a replay available. So if you absolutely cannot make it live, although I highly recommend you do, because we're going to be doing some impromptu Akashic record readings as well for select individuals who are on the call live. But if you can't make it live, that's totally okay, because this work goes beyond time, space, right? So wherever you are, whenever you are tuning in, you're going to get just as much activation, and make sure that you join us. It is donation based. It's pay what you desire. However, there is a minimum donation of $11. Go over to wildlyrooted.com/lit, and I will see you then. All right, let's get back into this conversation. In this episode, we are speaking with Sandra Livier Guardado, a bilingual Spanish-speaking licensed psychotherapist and intuitive healer. I am so thrilled to have Sandra on because her story and her journey, in many ways, is the story of so many of us coming face to face with aspects of ourselves that maybe we're not quite ready to fully accept, maybe that even scare ourselves. And yet, Sandra has had the courage to move forward and to dive deep into realms of the unknown and really come out on the other side, blazing a new trail for herself and in service to others. Her story encapsulates the gifts that come forward, that blossom within us and without us and out external to us. When we say yes to ourselves and yes to our path, no matter how impossible and far-reaching it may seem. Sandra is an incredibly talented medium and Akashic record reader. She expands on how we came to work together, first in one-on-one mentorship and then her work inside of WIP. But she also demonstrates how quickly our paths can change when we get into alignment and we're not afraid to do the work. She doesn't mention this in the podcast, but she's also a fellow manifesting generator. And one of the things that I have witnessed in Sandra and also in myself and so many others who are MGs, and not just manifesting generators, this is human design speak. For those of you who might not be familiar with what a manifesting generator is, I'll make sure to link up an episode that I had with Jasmine Nana. When we interviewed her, she was going by Jasmine. So she's a human design specialist. I love her work with Era Society, which really unfolded and blossomed after our episode, but I'll make sure to link it up because we cover all of the different types and basic foundational information that is really helpful to know about human design in case you're interested. So back to manifesting generators. It's very common for manifesting generators to be multi-passionate, to be doing multiple things at once. And the challenge with that I experienced so deeply and I see with so many others is deciding on what is, quote, right for me to do, what is resourcing me, what is my life's work or what I'm being paid to do. I struggled with this for so long, and I saw a little bit of that also with Sandra when we came to work together in the beginning. She was doing so many incredible, beautiful things, and part of her journey was really honing in and bringing together a synthesis of all of her gifts. And I believe that that is what all of us are really truly here for. Whether or not you are professionally an intuitive healer, you are meant to bring all of yourself, who you truly are, to all aspects of your life. And the growth, the evolution, the opportunities and doors that open from that place of integration and full self-acceptance is miraculous. So I'm excited for you to hear a bit about Sandra's journey because she aptly covers a lot of the challenges that intuitive people face when they're first coming into recognition of their gifts, which may feel like burdens at first. Sandra also shares a lot of really wonderful insights and tips on how to support yourself through this journey of becoming as an intuitive healer. So you'll hear about the highs and the lows and the exciting things that are now on Sandra's horizon as she continues to go deeper with her service work and fully integrating all of herself, mind, body, and spirit. Without further ado, here is our interview with Sandra. Today, I am feeling really, really blessed to have what I consider a friend now, but definitely a dear soul sister and a person that has been a really integral and beautiful part of the beginning of the WIP journey with the Wildly Intuitive Practitioner Pathway, but someone that I feel also honored to have supported in her own journey into her soul work with a capital W, and that is Sandra Livier Guardado. Sandra is a bilingual Spanish-speaking licensed psychotherapist with almost 2 decades of experience. Sandra is passionate about exploring the human experience and how the mind, body, and spirit are interconnected. Her journey has led her to study a variety of energy medicine modalities and to experience her personal healing. Her approach involves facilitating a healing journey through a psychological spiritual model with the use of trauma-informed psychology, energy medicine, past life regression therapy, and the Akashic Records. Her work is grounded in the valuable insights she's gained into mental health and spiritual wellness. Sandra's approach serves as a gentle bridge between the applied work of psychology and the quantum field experience. Sandra, welcome to the Future Wild podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. My heart is just bursting as I was listening to you. I'm just so excited to be here and honored. Thank you so much.
Me too. So, in the intro, I give a little bit of context for how we came together and what this episode, these episodes where we're bringing in real members of the community of WIP and just in terms of our work together. But I'd love to go a little bit deeper into your journey and really flesh this out for people, because I think your journey, evolution, and expansion is something that a lot of people are currently in the middle of, especially inside of WIP. And the way that you share and your openness and willingness throughout your journey, I think, is incredibly inspiring. So if we could go all the way back to the beginning, and not even the beginning of like how we met, but the beginning of you entering the health wellness world, as a psychotherapist, if you could start there, like what brought you to that work in the first place? And then we can move into how you began to really be called into incorporating more of a spiritual modality and perspective.
Yeah. So when I think back to what brought me into the field of psychotherapy, I mean, it was so interesting because growing up as a child, I didn't know what I wanted to study, and more when I was a teenager. Like, what do you want to be? When people would ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I wasn't sure. I didn't know. I just knew that I wanted to go to college and I wanted to have a degree and a career, and I wanted to be able to sustain myself. So through that experience, I explored quite a bit of different subjects. And when I was about to graduate with my undergrad, I decided, it was the last quarter of my graduating year, to change my major. And I had been a science major, a biology major, all my academic career. And there was something within me. It was one day when I was working at a biotech lab, and I was there in the lab all by myself, and I could hear the symphony of all the machines that were going on, and I was doing what I was doing, and I just thought, I don't want this to be my life. I want to have contact with people. And at that time, even before that, I had explored the possibility of going into the psychology field, but I just received a message from a very loving message from someone that was really trying to guide me into a path where I could self-sustain and not have to worry about just my finances and all that. I'd said, I don't think that going into psychology or therapy would be a good career choice. It's not an area where you'll be able to have a career. So I continued on with biology, and then fast forward, I would say like 4 years later, I decided that I didn't want to do it. And I took a huge leap of faith and I went into psychology. I graduated. It took me a quarter longer, and I graduated. And then I was having a hard time finding a job. So that led me to explore volunteer opportunities. And through a variety of different volunteer opportunities, working with women's shelters and with nonprofits that were advocates for children in the system, in the dependency system, I became an advocate, and that led me then to get hired with that agency. through that agency, I was able to witness that there was such a high need for bilingual therapists. I had the privilege of being able to sit in close, close door hearings where the public cannot attend, and you have to be a sworn officer of the court. So with that experience, I was able to witness that there is not enough bilingual Spanish speaking therapists. So as I was sitting there in the courtroom, I just felt it in my heart, and I heard a calling, and I just answered it. I saw that there was a need, and I said, I'm going to fill that need. And from there on, things just happened so quickly for me. While I was studying the sciences and biology, things were challenging for me. It was always sort of an uphill battle. But when I aligned with what my heart wanted to do, things just fell into place. I applied. I'm not recommending for anybody to do this, but I only applied to one graduate school. And it happened to be a really good school, a private school. And I just had no idea that maybe I would not get in. And it didn't cross my mind that I wouldn't. I got into the program. It was the easiest thing for me that I did. It wasn't challenging at all. It came really naturally. And that's how I came into the psychotherapeutic or psychotherapy field. And I love it. To me, it's such a privilege and an honor to be able to sit with the people that I sit with my clients, and to be able to share in their healing journey. And I'm almost, 20 years into my practice, and it doesn't feel like work to me. It's such a joy. I love it. I'm always happy about it. My weeks go by so quickly. They don't feel like 5-day weeks. They feel like 2 days have passed, and I just love what I do. So that's how I came into the psychotherapeutic field. And now I worked in different agencies, and now I have a private practice where I serve Spanish speaking clients, and I love what I do every day. I'm so grateful to be able to be of service to my community.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, clearly a need. And I think in all realms of health and wellness in the United States in particular, there is such disparity, I feel, in terms of the availability and like accessibility of a lot of different services. So it's so important, the work that you're doing. And when we met, when you came to me, you were at a point where you were already beginning to explore expanded ways of servicing, coming into service, right? But incorporating more of holistic approaches, somatic experiencing, and I believe you were into breath work at that point as well, right?
Yes.
So coming into our work together, you were already kind of on your way and expanding into that, but there was something more that was calling you in terms of spiritually bringing health and wellness and what that might look like in terms of your work. So what did that phase look like, and like how did you know that that was calling to you?
Oh gosh. When I think about it, I can just describe it as a longing, um, a song that my spirit was singing. It was a sad song. And it's hard for me to describe like what that means when I say a sad song that my soul was singing that I could hear. And because I'm in the mental health field, I felt it, and I knew I wasn't depressed. It wasn't anything like that. It was like there was something missing, but it was so hard for me to figure out what that was, because I loved what I do and I love what I do. So that didn't match up. And that sort of just sent me into a place of wanting to know more of what was happening. And while I listened to that song that was calling me in, that allowed me to to begin to explore other modalities, to listen, to remember the curiosities that I had. And through that, then I went into Reiki. So I was initiated into Reiki. And when that happened, that opened up a lot for me, a lot that I didn't understand, that I couldn't go into a book and look up that question, like, what's happening? I'm hearing voices, I'm seeing things, and I don't know what it is. And at that time, I mean, I wasn't telling anybody. I was just keeping it to myself. And there was a real big fear of being judged. And also understanding that the voices that I was hearing were outside of me, like the voices that we hear, you know, as we speak, and others that were inside of me. And with my critical, you know, analytical brain, I was sort of looking at that and really worried about, like, who do I tell this to, and that I don't get judged and people start thinking Sandra's losing it or something's happening to her. Because really, I mean, and this is my experience, I can only speak about my experience, but within our field, we do look, I mean, we're within the field of pathology, we're looking at the pathology of mental health. And I would say, again, for me, in my culture, or not my culture, but in the society that I live in, that's typically when we hear about people hearing voices outside of themselves. You know, we sort of start to think about what's going on mentally, and we might then reach out to medical professionals for assessments. So I just sort of kept it to myself, and I started to notice trends. And at that time, it's never scared me. That's the thing. It never scared me. The voices that I would hear were very gentle, loving. And there was more curiosity on my side than anything. And I started to track patterns and notice that. So I'll share some of those experiences that I would be walking, say, on the street by my office. Like, I was in during my lunchtime, or arriving to my office, or leaving my office. And this is one of the times where I clearly heard a voice outside of myself, a loud voice, but very soft and loving. And I heard the name of one of my clients, and I had not seen this client for over a year. So when I heard the name and I could hear the voice above me, I sort of looked to the up and to the sides, and there was nobody in the street. And I just thought, oh, that's funny. And I just kept on walking to my car. Well, I would say it was like within 2 days, that person called me, and I had not seen this person in over a year. And I began to start to feel, so speaking of the somatic experiencing and really connecting with the body, I started to feel a lot of sensations that I could recognize were not mine, because I'm attuned to my body. I know the language of my body, and interesting things would start to happen. I would be waiting for a client, and particularly this would happen with new clients. I would be waiting in my office for my new client, and I have a waiting room, and all of a sudden, from nowhere, just feeling super calm, I would just start feeling very, very anxious, to where my body would start to shake and tremble. I would have a hard time breathing. And again, my therapist mind in me brain would say, okay, what's happening? Am I feeling anxious? Am I having a panic attack? What is going on? So I began to get curious about it. And what I noticed was that there was a pattern. When some of my clients, and especially new clients, would start coming in, I would begin to pick up on their emotions, their feelings, before they would arrive to my office. And when the new client would arrive to my office, I would visually see in them what I was experiencing in myself. I would see them trembling. Their hands would be trembling. Their whole body would be shaking. They would have a hard time breathing. And then when it happens, one time, you just sort of, for me at that time, I would just dismiss it as like, just like a weird coincidence. And it would happen 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Then I said, okay, something's happening. And I remember at that time, a dear friend of mine that also happens to be a therapist, I took a leap of faith and I really dared to share this with her because I knew that she would not judge me. And when I did, to my surprise, she said, Sandra, the same thing happens to me, but I just have never told anyone because I've been afraid to be judged or for people to think I'm losing it, I'm going crazy. And that's when I said, I think something's happening, something is changing. So there was that period of time where I was really worried, scared, afraid, and isolated. But the more I began to open up and to explore, then it didn't feel as scary anymore.
I really appreciate you sharing this because honestly, I feel like so many people tuning in can probably have experienced similar things on some level, you know? And it's so common to have those thoughts of like, am I going crazy? Am I crazy? And without having a psychology background, right? Like without having
Yeah.
any experience in the mental wellness field, which I think probably was really supportive for you in your navigation of all of this, right? But
Mm-hmm.
also probably came with some challenges too, because I'm sure,
Oh, yeah.
like we could talk about the like struggle to coming in fully into it and, accepting some of these. And also, like you said, the fear of the judgment and the fear of, especially within, we could maybe say evidence-based medicine circles,
Mm-hmm.
there is a lot of judgment that can come through if something cannot be measured, right, with the
Yes.
tools that we have. So this is super valuable for people to hear. And okay, so you're at this point where you've begun to incorporate some more holistic and esoteric and energetic modalities, exploring that within your own world. I feel like Reiki is like the gateway drug for so many people for
Yeah.
this,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
It's like it was for me. It was one of the very first entry points into this realm and world. But when did you? So when you came to reach out to me, what was the impetus? Like, what was happening that you were like, okay, like I honestly just maybe need to find somebody to support me in this?
Yeah. So let's see. I was at a point where so many things were happening, too many things were happening that I couldn't explain and that I did not have anyone to talk to about, anyone that could guide me or help me. Um, and I'm a big believer and proponent of doing your own work. And again, as a psychotherapist, I've been in my own therapy and I've had that journey for a few years. And when I did all that healing work and I knew in my heart, in my body, that I had done that work, that within that style of work that we can do, that I had reached sort of my end of my journey with that, and that there was something else that I needed. I just didn't know what it was because I didn't have the language for it. And um, I I don't remember how I came across your podcast, and I was listening to an episode, and in that episode you spoke of the Akashic records. And when I heard you speak of them and you said, hey, if you want to know more about them, go and listen to this episode. I did, like, right away. I remember it was at nighttime and I just listened to the whole episode, and that just felt so aligned with me and it felt so familiar. Although at the time I didn't know, I had never heard of the Akashic records. It just felt like someone that I've known before. And then immediately I looked you up, and I saw that you had a program that was coming up, a mentorship, and that's how I came to find you. And I say that the Akashic records found me because there would have been no way that I would have been able to go out there and looking for them because I just didn't know what it was. So at that time, I I needed a safe place where I could speak about everything that was going on, where I wouldn't, more than not feeling crazy or weird or something's happening to me, but to have somebody that could understand, that could truly understand what was going on, um, and really help me and guide me and support me in expressing everything that was coming through, because it was just so much that I didn't understand. I had, um, again, an understanding from my my training, my professional background, what was going on, but it was hard to really talk about it to anybody, because I knew, okay, I'm having an experience and I could feel it in my body. I could track it somatically. I can help it discharge. I understand that I'm moving through some trauma, but this is not trauma from right now, not from the life of Sandra Livier Guardado. This is from somewhere else. And that was a different level of conversation. And I needed someone to be able to hold that space for me.
I feel like we all at some point really need the support of, whether it's a guide or a mentor, or it doesn't necessarily even have to be a human mentor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like living
Mm-hmm.
or living, like maybe it could be like a master teacher from another time or another era. But there's something about our ability to, well, there's many things that come through when you're talking about this. Is first our ability to divine for others in a way that others cannot for themselves. And in that way, it's not that you don't hold your truth or your wisdom. You can't, like, quote, figure things out for yourself. Of course we can. But I honestly, like, through all of these years of working with people in this way, I have come to the conclusion that we're just not meant to. Like, we're literally meant to network, plug in with one
Yeah.
another, because it awakens things within us when we plug into somebody else's field and aura and
Mm-hmm.
connection, and we have these soul contracts, right? So that's what I felt when you came into my realm and world, and I was like, oh, Sandra and I definitely have a soul contract together.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And I remember in the beginning, because we started working together one-on-one in one-on-one mentorship before
Yes.
the Wildly Intuitive Practitioner Pathway. And I
Yes.
just remember our sessions were like, they would just blow the roof off the house. It was like so much information would come through. And I'm like, Sandra, like, you're
Yeah.
so powerful. Like, there is so much here. And I would tell you things, and I felt like, and I know you were quiet at that time, and more recently you've reflected, like, at the time I didn't really necessarily believe that all of this was
Yeah.
true. So if you
Yes.
could share a little bit of your experience with that, like having somebody reflect back to you
Yeah.
some things that maybe you're like, I don't know if I'm ready for that, or if that feels true right now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm going back to remembering sitting in my chair, my office chair, and it's a leopard print, very small, very cute leopard print chair. And I was sitting there and just having these sessions with you, where I remember telling you, and this again, because of the only sort of base knowledge, information, memory that I could pull from to be able to describe what the process felt like to me. I remember telling you, Venessa, you feel like my soul therapist. This feels like soul therapy, so deep and to so many levels. And there is so much information coming through, so much. It was all new language for me, all of it. And I remember, you sharing what was coming through, just everything that was coming through, and I would look at you, and I didn't understand. I mean, half of the issue was that I didn't understand the languaging. I was like, what does this
Mm-hmm.
mean? What is this? And I was just really sort of like, what is this? And so from that perspective, from that knowledge base, that it just wasn't familiar to me. And then the other part was um I don't know, like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know, like, how, not so much how real this is, but how much what would I say? Like how open I was to take all that in because it was so big and I
Mm-hmm.
just couldn't see myself in it. It just felt like somebody else. Like how can I do these things? How do I have that capacity that you're describing? I don't see myself doing that. And the first thing that comes to mind is when through the Akashic Records, a supportive tool that came in for me to use to be able to channel and to hold more information or energy was to use tarot. And I looked at you like, no, I'm not going to use that. And I remember that one of my loved ones that is passed and that communicates with me also told me, yes, Sandra, this is what you can use. This is going to be really helpful for you because you don't want to be using your body all the time to receive information. Look, this is going to be very helpful. And I told her, no, I don't want to use it. And it came. And then my loved one said, okay, Sandra, got the cards and just shuffled them together and sort of like banged them a little bit on the table and said, okay, not right now. And when I heard the not right now, I was like, oh my gosh, I think these are going to come back at another time. And at that time, I working through so much stuff that I didn't even know, like really deep past life stuff where tarot didn't seem safe to me. Like there was just so much attached to it. And at that time, I just wasn't open to it. And even, I mean, just everything that in those 6 months that came through during our one-on-one sessions has shown up in my life. And this is, I don't know, like maybe two years ago, or I'm not
Yeah, this
sure
was,
like how.
we think we started March 2021.
Yeah. So and again, time is so different when spirit is talking about it and we as human beings relate to it. I just couldn't see how all this could happen. And now that I'm experiencing it, I look back at it and I laugh very lovingly at that part of myself that was just like a kid in a place that they've never been in or visited, and everything's so new and foreign and it's hard to understand. But I still listen to that deep song, that my soul was singing, and it felt so aligned. And once I started to move into that sadness started to lift, and that really validated for me that part of, like, I knew that this wasn't depression. It wasn't mental health. It was something else. And I felt like I was realigning in the work that I came to do here. But I first needed to do this really deep soul work that I still continue to do to this day. And I will continue to do, because as I did the work, the psychotherapeutic work for me, for my own personal life, I will always continue to do some sort of deep healing work in whatever modality I may be engaged in at the time.
Well, and I think that's really important. Like, I want to put a pin in this because I think as healers, no matter what kind of healing artist you are, to be in integrity means you have to do your work to show up, to be in service, like to be able to have the capacity to be in service, to hold that, to be able to space hold. You have to be nourished. You have to also do your shadow work, because
Yeah.
you can't really fake it. And, there's that like fake it till you make it. There's certain
Mm-hmm.
levels where you might not feel ready for something, but your spirit and your soul is like, yeah, you actually are, but you're just like not feeling it, right? And you can
Yeah.
step into that. That's different than truly like not having integrity with what you are bringing forth, because maybe in your inner world, in your life, it looks very different, right? Like, I see this a lot, and it can get people into trouble. And I say this with like all the love in my heart. Like, you can hurt yourself by not staying in integrity, because I see people, experiencing even like physical symptoms can come
Mm-hmm.
through, but also like certain things in your life. Like, you just want to walk the path with as much integrity and heart-centeredness as possible. And that means doing the deep work. And that's one thing that, Sandra, I feel like you're the poster child for, at least inside of WIP, is like, you are not afraid to go deep. You are so willing to meet yourself in the depths and to really explore. And you've done so through a variety of different modalities, many of which you have yourself incorporated into your work, and you are now offering for others. So I think it's really important to highlight that for people, that Sandra, what you, and like, I know you know this, but for the audience, what you were going through was an initiation. It's an initiation. I mean, it was, probably decades long initiation, right? Like starting with the psychotherapy and maybe even before that with several life events. But to say yes to a next level of your soul work and to meet yourself in full alignment with the service that you know you are here to do, it's an initiatory path. And in order to move through an initiation, like, you have to meet yourself in the depths and going like that in Nana, going down into the underworld type of thing. So I'm curious, with that preface, what were some of the important or interesting things that you discovered and were able to bring healing to, that were part of your shadow work as it pertains to your healing work in this life?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that I find that deep healing shadow work that we can all do, I find it really fun. I enjoy it. I think it could be fun. It doesn't have to be scary or sad. I mean, I like going deep, and that's part of the work that I do professionally, and I always say, it could be fun. It could be fun to do shadow work too. And so the work that I've done and what I've discovered, gosh, I would say that the first time that I stepped into my shadow work as it relates to this initiation and just the spiritual work that I'm doing just happened. It happened automatically or spontaneously without me intending to do that. And it happened by spontaneously going into a past life regression. So I was meditating, and the intention of the meditation wasn't to go into a past life. And I spontaneously went into a past life, and I was able to witness it from an observer perspective, as if I was watching a movie, and it was like a black and white movie that was playing. And again, because of the training that I have as a psychotherapist and my body-based sort of approach, the somatic approach, I noticed that as I was witnessing this movie in black and white, that I was experiencing what I was seeing. So and just to briefly describe what it was, I was able to witness another life where I lived somewhere out in nature, out in the woods. And in that lifetime, I was a healer. And at that time, if you were considered a healer, it was like witchery. So they would take the people that did this, and they would get rid of them in a very violent way. So I witnessed that, and I saw my soul's expression of that lifetime. I saw that woman running into the woods and being followed by other people that were going to do harm to her. And I could feel all of it in my body. It wasn't unpleasant. I didn't feel any pain or anything like that. I felt all the somatic tracking. I felt all the fear. I felt all the being out of breath. I felt the running, like when you're running for your life and in panic. I felt that. I could hear it. I could see it. And then I saw that this soul's expression, this life, ended in violence. And through that, I was able to also connect to how that life, that energetic imprint was showing up, or fingerprint was showing up in this lifetime, that I was so fearful and so afraid of people knowing that I am receiving intuitively messages, I'm channeling spirit. They are helping me out to be of the highest service that I can with people, and that knowing and understanding why I felt like I needed to stay, behind closed doors for people not to see, because at that time, if people knew what you were doing, then you would die. And that was one of the core memories that stayed with me unconsciously without me knowing. And that was a program that was running my life in the background. And I just didn't know how it was showing up. So that was really eye-opening to me. And after I got out of that meditation, I still had the somatic charge in my body. And with my training, I was able to discharge that from my body, but I could recognize that it wasn't mine. It wasn't Sandra Livier's experience. It was another expression of my soul. So that started the whole path of like, oh gosh, now I understand why certain things are happening in my life, or why I feel a certain way. And that for me was fun. And that for me started me off on this path. And again, I also, and through meditation has been something that has been so helpful for me, a very strong foundation. When I started meditating, it was for mental health purposes, to explore mindfulness, and never did I imagine what would happen for me with meditation, that it allowed me to get so clear in myself that I could discern between my voice and the voice of spirit coming through, and that helped me feel grounded and not feel scared when that was happening. And that also allowed me that practice unknowingly. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I didn't know that was going to help me with this, but it also helped me to hear when my first spirit guide stepped out and spoke to me, that I could hear her voice externally. And that when I asked what her name was, she gave me her name. And I had never heard that name. And when I went and looked for that name, I was just so shocked and surprised that I threw my phone across the room, because it was just so shocking to hear, like, what? I didn't make this up. And to me, I would say that really being a blank slate, a tabula rasa, not having any knowledge about archangels, about guides, about ascended masters, that was to my benefit. And I believe that was something that I planned before I came into this incarnation, to be so to one side of science that I didn't devote my life to knowing more about spirituality. I've always believed in God, but I feel that this was a very cute plan that I constructed to where when my guide, and I'll share this, I'm so comfortable now. A few years ago, I wouldn't have been comfortable, but the first guide that stepped out for me was Archangel Anael. And I had never heard that word. I didn't know about archangels. The only archangel I knew of was Archangel Gabriel. That was it. And it was just through religion. My religious background is Catholic, and just through that sort of, upbringing, that's what I knew. So when I heard that name and I just Googled it, and it came back and it was Archangel Anael, I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't have pulled this out of thin air, because I don't hold that knowledge. So that to me really helped to validate what was coming through, because I know that in my mind, that if I would have known about the names of the archangels, I would have said, I made this up, and I wouldn't have believed it.
I love that you can say now that you created this cute plan for yourself, because
Yeah.
I think like maybe when you're in the midst of it, you're like, this isn't that cute. Like, what the F is going on here? I
Yeah.
feel like I'm going crazy.
Hmm.
But absolutely, how you were talking about how crazy just this whole space-time thing is because of the quantum leaps, literally, that you
Hmm.
can make in just a couple of years in terms of your consciousness and level of knowing and all of that. But that again is a testimony to your level of commitment to your work, to yourself, to knowing thyself. So there's a lot in what you shared. um, the first thing I want to pull out for folks is the importance of knowing thyself. You mentioned how psychotherapy and meditation has really allowed you to come into a deep knowing and understanding of like your body's cues and your body's language and your own voice, so that you can distinguish from others that might be coming through. And I think a lot of people have challenges with that. A lot of people don't know the language of their body, hear many different voices, don't know which one is their true essence, right? And so that's where I think some of the tools that you touched in on, meditation, absolutely being one of those, and tending to your nervous system, the somatic experiencing or somatic based practices, body based practices are so important. But the other thing that like came through on that thread is the importance of nervous system regulation, which you had tools
Hmm.
for, Sandra, right? So like
Yeah.
when you start experiencing, when you're hearing voices, when you're like, certain things are happening in your life, and if your nervous system, if you don't have the tools to withstand like kind of a shock to your nervous system, it can dysregulate you, right? It can like, even if
Hmm.
it's just for a little period. So you had those amazing tools. Is there anything like, as a therapist and as somebody who's gone through this journey, for people who might be experiencing things that feel shocking, that feel dysregulating, and they don't necessarily have the tools, what would you say are some maybe like the easiest things to reach for, something that they can do to
Yeah.
support themselves?
So I would say, first of all, if you're able to and you have the resources to reach out to a therapist, if that aligns with you in mental health, and to be able to do some of that work. But there's just simple things that we can do, and attuning to our senses. And a lot of the times for some people, focusing on the breath can be dysregulating. And I know it might sound a little bit odd to say dysregulating, but for some people, focusing on breathing in and breathing out can cause anxiety, and just a lot of like questioning, am I doing it right? And that in itself can cause dysregulation in the breath. So something that can be helpful is attuning to your senses, to your five senses. And this is something that we can all do at any given point in our life. And you can use your hand, your five fingers, and start off with the first sense that is more easily accessible to you. And if that sense happens to be sight, so to focus on something that you see, and then focus on that thing that you see and begin to describe it to yourself. If it's a tree, notice the tree, notice the leaves, the variation in color, the green, the yellow, the tree trunk, notice the wind flowing. And doing that will just naturally begin to regulate your breath. And then you can focus on something that you hear, tuning your ear to something that you hear near or far. The other one would be something that you can touch. It could be your clothing, it could be your hair, and staying with that for a few seconds, and then moving through all your senses in that way. And um, more than not, at the end of your five senses, you will feel more calm than when you first started.
So beautiful. Thank you so much. Super
Mhm.
helpful to have these tools. And I recommend folks who aren't familiar, with this kind of work, or maybe if that's new for you, write it down, like put it somewhere that's really accessible for you. Maybe keep a note with, a written description with you in your pocket, your purse, your desk. and put it in your phone notes, because when you're in that state, it's really hard to remember things, right? Like
Yeah.
even to
Yes.
remember just like what to do. So that's
Mm-hmm.
something, just a little hack. You can maybe
Yeah.
at least remember, oh, it's in my phone somewhere, right? Let me go
Mm-hmm.
find it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So we're at the point in your journey where you're basically awakening to your gifts. You're beginning to also come into a certain level of acceptance and acknowledgement, right? and
Mm-hmm.
and curiosity about diving even deeper. We're working together in one-on-one mentorship, and then WIP came along, the Wildly Intuitive Practitioner Pathway,
Mm-hmm.
and you joined us inside of WIP, which was so amazing to have you in our container. I'm curious, with WIP, what was the standout piece for you with regards to your experience inside of WIP? Like, how did it help you piece together things like along this part of your journey?
Yeah. The first thing that comes up for me is it expanded me. It expanded me to such a degree that I would have never imagined. Um, and that I think I don't have the words to describe, but I'll do my best. So it expanded me, and it also allowed me to have a space to to normalize my experience, to become more comfortable in my own skin with my own words in my own body, um, to be able to explore topics that perhaps I would say for me were taboo because of my own religious upbringing, and to really dare to to speak about what I was going through, because it was so big what was coming through me, the ascended masters that I was connecting to. And even as I speak right now, oh, I feel so much emotion coming through, because it is such a love filled place where that vibration needed to be present for me to be able to maintain, sustain, to nourish those connections, um, and to be able to continue to open up to be of service to anyone that I get to cross paths with. And that um, I got to, like I think I mentioned before, it felt like when we would open up our records, when we would do the Akashic record circles, or the monthly meetings, that it felt to me in my body, it felt like a Wi-Fi extender, like sitting with all of you and opening up the records expanded me so much to receive so much information, um, to be able to connect with my spiritual lineage, with my cosmic lineage, with topics that I have no idea about. And at the time I had no idea about, but that I could share them with you and with the other people that were in the program. And because of their experience and because of your experience, what I was sharing, um, the information that was coming through me was validated. And beyond the validation, that I felt like, okay, this stuff that's coming through, there's a bigger purpose, and it's not just for me to keep it to myself. It's to share it with those that would like to hear it, and to really understand the magnitude of what was coming through me that could have only been done in the WIP space and with you, because uh, talking about cosmic families, about the void, about Venus, about all these energies, that was just so new to me. And I will be eternally grateful to all of you guys, to you for offering this space and for helping me on this journey, because otherwise I, like I've said before, I would have been, if I wouldn't have had this awakening, this thing that cracked me open, I would have been very happy continuing on with my life as a psychotherapist, because I still enjoy psychotherapy and I love it. And I've said I'm going to do it until I can no longer do it, until my cognitive abilities fail me, as in also within the spiritual work that I'm stepping into and to be of service to others. So it expanded me in such a way to be able to accept also parts of me that are even until now challenging for me to understand, of how it is that I can channel information, how it is that I can know things about people that I don't know, and that those things that are coming in, the information that's coming in, has always been for the highest good of that person that I'm sitting with and for their highest healing. And today, when I was driving and thinking about that, I was like, you know what? I know that my brain wants to know, what is it? Where is it coming from? Am I channeling this from spirit? Am I tapping into psychically into the person's energy? And then I just thought, you know what, Sandra, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because I know and I feel it, that it comes from love. And all that has ever come from any of the information that has been shared with me to share with others has been in the vibration of love. And I have seen the healing that it produces with the people that I share these messages with.
Hey there, I'm interrupting this lovely conversation to bring you a special invitation. If you are a clinician, a practitioner, a healing artist of any level, maybe you're just starting out, or perhaps you're a seasoned practitioner. If you feel that your soul is aching for a change, that something is calling you, you want to go deeper with your medicine, you want to know and expand your intuitive gifts, you know that your calling is to be an intuitive holistic healer, but you're not sure what that means or looks like. Well, I have a special private training where you will learn my 3-part intuitive healing matrix. This is the foundational piece for all holistic healing practices, and it's what has guided my work and so many others. This private training is called How to Create a Transformative Intuitive Healing Practice You Love. And you can get access to this training for free when you apply and are accepted to the Wildly Intuitive Practitioner Pathway, aka WIP. This is our high-touch 9-month intuitive healing mentorship and practitioner mastermind. On this journey inside of WIP, you'll be initiated into the Akashic Records, becoming a reader and a practitioner for intuitive connection, experiencing deep self-healing and unparalleled support for your clients and patients. You'll discover your intuitive gifts and break through blocks, limiting beliefs, fears, and programmings that are holding you back. You'll also channel an integrated body of work that synthesizes your innate gifts, experience, and wisdom. The Wildly Intuitive Practitioner Pathway is an initiation. It's your chariot that will carry you into your next level of healing, both personally and in your work. So I invite you to learn more and apply. You can go to wildlyrooted.com/apply. There are no risks or obligations to join after you apply. And if you're accepted, you'll get that private training on how to create a transformative intuitive healing practice you love. Head over to wildlyrooted.com/apply. Oh my goodness. Yes, there's so much in what you just said. There is a certain level of, our mind continues to want to use logic to understand rationally, right? That which can't fully be understood with our brain, at least in the rational sense. And so I also, at some point in my journey, came into this almost agreement with myself that I'm not going to ask, okay, where is this specifically coming from? I need to know like the pathway and like what are we tapping into? And instead to just ensure that the information is from the highest vibration of love and good, right? Because obviously there is discernment. You want to make sure that
Yes.
it's something that's going to be supportive and as closest, to the truth and essence as possible. That's important. But yeah, like using our mind to try to understand things is just futile. But the other
Yeah.
thing that you're talking about, I love how you describe the Wi-Fi extender. And I have my own language around this. I call it the intuitive network calibration. So it's like
Yeah.
you come into a field of others and your intuition calibrates. And that's why it's
Yes.
so powerful to work with a mentor or a guide, to work with a group of other people who are working on themselves, who are, whatever it is. It doesn't even have to be around intuitive healing or working on your intuition, but really with anything in life, right? We're going to calibrate with the network we are in. So that's why it's so, so powerful. And I'm also must say, Sandra, like you brought your own next levelness to this network and calibration too. Because when you would come onto these, so just for people to understand a little bit more, in the program, we have regular biweekly Akashic group calls. So these are group Q&A calls where we open up the Akashic records and people come with their questions and the whole group tunes into your record. So you're basically getting an Akashic record reading, from potentially from everybody, and input and insight. So it could be really helpful. And then there's also practicum circles, those monthly calls that you were talking about. So that's where we come in and we practice together, and then you can read with others and just practice in a really safe space. And when Sandra would come on, you would bring these questions and like they would just blow our minds with the information that would come through, because I think the energy with which you would bring it and like it would all basically activate us, that it allowed for next level shit to come through, just to put it like really simply. So it was so much fun, but also so awe-inspiring, because I think it also showed how we all can tap into this wisdom, and we're all connected and we all have pieces of the puzzle, right? We're all these petals of the same flower, and we can bring our own unique intuitive knowing to it and our own language. So I am forever grateful for that. And I feel like your presence was also really activating in the best way for many people inside the group. What do you feel was like, if you can look at the journey, if there was any point inside either the WIP curriculum or just like an aspect of the journey that you felt was a game changer for you, or like something that felt it really stuck with you, and that was something that you could take away from our time together?
I would say that it was working with the eighth sphere, the, what is it called? The module, essentially.
I think
I
it's
don't know
called
if it'll,
Debate Module. Yeah, the
working
names
with
of the
her
modules don't
demons.
necessarily go. Yeah, that's the demon
Yeah.
module.
Yeah. The demon one. So I know, like, for anybody that's listening, it's like, oh, it might sound a little scary, but it's not. And I think that that's where I really enjoy doing that deep work and the transmuting of all that. And to me, it was a real blessing and a real gift to be able to do that work, to step into that and to transmute, those demons and those attachments that we might have that we're unaware of. And the the reminder and the knowing and the feeling that within the darkness there is still light, and that you can bring that light out. You can remind the darkness that it came from light. And I don't know why, but I'm getting again like teary. And that just, to me, it's wonderful, because it's the work that I came here to do, the work that a lot of us came here to do, is to remind ourselves of that we hold, that is so precious. And that although there might be a lot of things that you're going through that feel really hard, that there's light within that. and to come back to that. And as small as it might be, once you attune to it, you'll find the Christ within, and that will grow, and you will feel the love, and you'll remember the love. And once you remember that, you know that that's with you wherever you go. So whatever demons you come across, whether they're cute little fuzzy demons or, the nastier looking ones, that you have the power, the love to transmute that back into love and light.
It's making me emotional because, like, creating that module was a very personal experience for me. As I share inside the module, I share how I came into this understanding and what my spirit teachers and guides have shown me, and how humbling really it is, but also empowering. And I think you described it in such a beautiful way. So thank you, Sandra. I'm really excited to hear what's on the horizon for you now. I feel like so much is coming into bloom. And it's interesting, like the seasonality of it too, right? Because as we're moving into winter, I feel like energetically there's just this expansion for you, which feels very exciting. So I'd love for you to share what is on the horizon for you and opportunities for people to connect with you. Like what do you have going on?
Yeah. So I'm super excited to share that I launched my podcast, and I was very divinely guided to do this, to start a podcast, a bilingual podcast. And the name of my podcast is Soul Expansion, Alma en Expansión. And I'm super excited to share what has been coming through me with the world, and with all of you. And again, through the work that I did with you, Venessa, that also came through to share this in both languages. And that was so important. And my language has always been so important for me. And it was something that my guides kept on saying, yep, it's something, our guides can tell us to do things, but we decide it's our life, right? So they said, yeah, like this needs to be in Spanish and English. And it aligned with me. So that is available now. You can also find me at my website, and it's www.sandralivier.com. And I am in the creation process of healing journeys that will be available next year in March. And the more information will come next year in January. And I'll just tell you guys a little bit about it, but it'll involve a journey. So it'll be a container, one-to-one high touch container, where I will facilitate your healing journey through past life regressions, Akashic records, and much more. We'll be in weekly contact throughout the time that we work together. I will also have Akashic record sessions available next year. And there's more that's being created. And for now, that's what I have available. And for those that would like to connect with me on the social webs, I'm on Instagram. My handle is, this is where it gets a little, tricky. It's _Sandra.Livier _. And typically there, I will just post whatever I have that's going on. And I try to do my best to go on there at least once weekly and to share with you guys what's coming through.
And of course, I will have all the links in the show notes for those of you who are like, I can't write it down fast enough. And I just have to share as a plug for you, Sandra, that for everybody who is curious, Sandra is truly gifted, and you are in such wonderful hands when you choose to step into this path with Sandra and this work. So highly, highly recommend. And yes, I am excited for like what's going to unfold, both for you, Sandra, and those that are called to work with you. I have one final question that we ask everyone who comes on. I would love to know, Sandra, what is currently feeding your wild, whether that's body, mind, or soul, or all of the above?
So what's feeding my soul is the continuous remembrance and connection with spirit, with God, every day in my life. to remind myself that I am not alone, to connect to that love that is there, that we just have to reach out to. And doing that for me in the morning just shifts my day completely. My loved ones, my friends and family, nature and the elements, the mountains are really speaking to me now. So uh, that just really excites me and brings so much joy and love to my soul.
It's so beautiful. And before we end, I just quickly wanted to share with all of these episodes, I pull a tarot card, and just to see, like, is there a specific message that wants to come through with those that are tuning in to Sandra and this particular episode. And two came out, and I'd love to share them right now as we close. The first was the new moon card. So I have this tarot deck that is from this artist collective called UUSI. It's the Pagan Otherworlds tarot deck, and they include a lunar set of cards. And the new moon is really about cleansing and beginnings. It's the first phase of the lunar cycle and is a reminder of the ancient birth, like this death birth cycle. And it's a cleansing and healing moon. And it's very creative as well, which those of you who haven't tuned into Sandra's work already or don't know Sandra, she's like to the extreme degree, I feel like you're creative, Sandra. Like you create things with your hands, and you've had like a whole other business creating things, right? You are absolutely a creator. So I just felt like so much of what we talked about today was really about, it's like stepping into a new level, a new venture, new ideas, like really being willing, this journey, and honoring them. And the powerfulness also of the darkness of the new moon as an ideal time to connect with those shadow aspects, those darker aspects of ourselves and our journey, but in that way that you're saying, like it could be fun. Which, by the way, I think like don't you have Scorpio in your chart? Aren't you like an ascendant Scorpio?
I don't remember. I have to look into that. That's still language that I'm working with.
Yeah, well, it's like, yeah, it's definitely like a whole other language, right? And I'm like, of course, Sandra would find that so much fun. Like, you Scorpios, we only wish. I love it. But that's what, the moon is about. It's like, it's reminding us that even those darker times and moments and aspects of ourselves are still part of the light. Like it's part of this greater cycle, and it's an opportunity for us to evolve and grow. So I loved that. And the second card that flew out was the Two of Cups. And the Two of Cups it's specifically this card about looking at the parts of ourselves that maybe are harder to come to terms with, or like there's some aspect of coming into communion with a part of ourself that maybe we don't fully know, or maybe we judge, or maybe we're afraid to share. And I think everything that you shared, Sandra, like your experience of coming into a deeper sense of self and acceptance of all that you are and these gifts, and saying yes to this path is taking that Two of Cups, right? And saying like, this is my truth, and I'm loving all parts of myself. I'm welcoming it all in, and I'm saying yes to all of me. And that is an incredibly courageous thing to do. It's not easy. And there's so many different levels of our being, that we are confronted with, like as we move forward in our journey, especially in an initiatory process. And so thank you for demonstrating that for us in such a grounded and really beautiful way with your own journey and your sharing. And I highly recommend everybody continue to tune into Sandra's journey and insights on her podcast, because you have so much wisdom that is channeling through you. Is there anything that lands for you with either of those cards, Sandra? I'm just curious.
Yeah, the piece of going deep with it, and just finding it fun and doing all that shadow work. And I yeah, to me it's fun. There's no other way to put it. And the piece of really, also both of them really align and resonate with me, of owning all the parts of me. And I don't think that I would have been able to do this without your support and your guidance. And it's been a beautiful journey. It's been filled with a lot of emotions. And I'm in a place where I can own that. Before, I would really shy away from it and I wouldn't speak of it. And I would, even if I would speak of it, I would just, my voice would get a little softer. And I was like, oh, yeah, I do that. But I was really hiding behind it. And now I don't. Now I love it. And I'm grateful to be in this life.
Well, thank you, Sandra, for coming on to the podcast today to share a little bit of your life and your journey. And thank you so much for your presence inside of WIP and just to know you. It's been a blessing. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you, igualmente, and I appreciate you so much. And there's no words other than I just have so much love for you, and you are a dear friend to me in my heart. And the moment I met you, I know that I maybe said this once, and I was like, oh, I don't want her to think I'm weird, but I really felt when I saw you, like I know you, like I met a friend that I hadn't talked to in a long time, and you made me feel so safe. So I love you so much.
I love you, Sandra. And tear fest at the end of this podcast. All right, everybody. Now go tune into Sandra's episodes over on her podcast and click those links. We'd love to hear back from you, feedback. Reach out to us over on Instagram. All handles are in the show notes. And we love all of you. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Goodbye.